Hey y'all. It is a moment where we are having a little happy birthday moment for Lonnie, who should be in here any minute. If y'all know Lonnie Rope, go say happy born day. I'll let y'all all get comfortable, more comfortable than me. My hair's not brushed. I just came in. Hello there. I just came in from running around Austin all day, which is quite abnormal for me in these recent months. Haven't been doing that as often, but definitely did that today, and it was strange. So thanks for having some patience with me. I had a couple of new streaming things happening that I was trying to figure out. So I was a couple minutes behind. Good day, y'all. Good day. Oh, can you tell a difference between the lighting? I can't tell the difference because I just can't tell, but glad that you can see a different stage from the new phone. Maybe you can see how tired, dehydrated, and exhausted my face and body looks like still. But it's okay because I'm on that self-care tip. What's happening after I get off this live. So happy born day, Lonnie. And get comfortable, all of you. Get comfortable. So I am prepared, but I am not as prepared as I would like to be for this live. And let me go ahead and tend to Facebook because they're over here watching me in the dark right now. So let me just be on Facebook here for all of the somewhat new. I think I have some new followers on Facebook. So if you're new to this space, we'll do a little bit of an intro. And when I say I'm not prepared, I had the full intention of coming on here today to actually do a ritual with you all, which I might be featuring some video on my YouTube later tonight when I actually do my new moon ritual in Leo. But it is a little early for me to be doing a ritual, so I'm not prepared or ready. And I actually got home in just enough time to get some minimal things done and be ready to come on here. So not doing a ritual live with you all today. However, I do want to go over some rope witch centric things. So this is a live specifically called, or attention with intention, I should say, specifically called, this is not a classroom. And of course, like many of my attention with intention or rough topic lives, it was birthed out of a place of frustration. So we are going to go to that place together. We are going to travel to that space together with one another today. And unpack that conversation. But I also just want to get in the habit with many of you, and for the effort of my time and for the effort of saving time and effort, I want to get into the habit of also being able to take advantage of this time and space to be able to do some meditation with you all, to be able to regulate your systems, and to really start communicating a lot of the information that I hope to communicate on this platform, which is a lot of divination tools, which is a lot of spiritual grounding throughout all of our difficult conversations. So that will be interwoven into the conversation today, and also just as a little timeline of what we will be doing today. We will be chatting about some difficult topics, but we're going to start chatting about the new moon, about some divination, about some astrology. So if that's not your jam, then you might just want to mute me or go somewhere else for about 5 or 10 minutes before we come back and dive into the difficult stuff. I also have a Q&A that I planned on going through at the end of this live with some questions that I got over Instagram earlier today. However, I have been splitting my time between my house and Daddy's house, and my iPad, which I usually read off of my Instagram questions, is at his place. So I will be coming back to do live Q&A tonight for a little bit of like a moon nighttime ritual session that will be live, and I'll probably also be putting that on YouTube. So we're just gonna have a special time. There's still time. If you want to ask me specific questions even after this is over, before, go onto my stories on the Rope Witch. On Instagram. If you're watching on Facebook, go onto Instagram, follow me on the Rope Witch, and throw some Q&As in there, and I will be doing that tonight from the Nook, from my bed space. So look forward to that, because there's no way for me to read the questions while I'm also recording live on my phone. So that's the only reason why that's not happening. So I want you to get in the habit as we meet in these little spaces, especially when you are preparing to be uncomfortable, when you're preparing for a process of rebirth and reconstruction of your own perspective, or just hearing something that might not sound too great. I want you to prepare and set yourself up for success of navigating that space authentically, meaning set yourself up actually in your space. Grab water if you need to. Make sure that you have some food, that you have some obviously hydration, that you have pillows underneath your booty or to cuddle or to be around, and that you have blankets. Check the temperature of the room. Check to make sure that maybe if you don't want to be interrupted, that you won't be interrupted. Really set yourself up for success in this space, and success of being able to be with yourself in an authentic way. And if you know that that's not possible as you're watching this, know that this will be saved for later, and carve out that intentional time whenever you do decide to sit down and follow this intentionally. Before we really drop into the space, I do want to chat a little bit about what's going on right now, what's going on in the world, and what you might be feeling the effects of in your body, in your bones, in your mentality as you've been navigating the last couple of weeks. And we are full blown in Leo season, y'all. Ooh, if you are not a Leo, hope you came correct, because it's no joke. Hope you're ready to love yourself. Hope you're ready to pour all that energy into yourself, which sounds so yummy and it sounds so amazing to get to do. Of course, we love to love ourselves. Of course, I just want to spend time with myself. It's harder than we actually admit to ourselves and to each other. We are not trained to do this by any means of our culture. How we're brought up, and honestly, the world that we live in, specifically in the West, does not operate in the way to influence or encourage carving out time for yourself. They want to run you into the ground to keep making money. So this might feel very, very foreign if you do not already have this specific practice, but here in Leo season, this is about your activation. This is about finding a way to emerge out of this hermit space that we've all felt this year so far, due to COVID, due to it being the Aquarian age, due to whatever extemporaneous things you want to pull into your realm to make the excuses or solidify and ground how you've been feeling the last couple of months. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. It's really all of it. But however you identify with the ways that we've been navigating this emotional space, a lot of us have felt really run down. A lot of us have been questioning why we're so tired when we've actually been doing less than we might have been doing in the regular world before things went crazy. And so I really want you to open up to a space of self-compassion for how that lands in your spirit, but also know that this is the time for activation. This is the time to really, you've already been manifesting. You've already been hoping and thinking. Your mental mind has been, especially your monkey mind, has been really working and navigating. The wheels never stop spinning, even when you're tired. So over the last couple of months, you've been doing emotional work. You've been managing trauma of COVID. You've been doing all of these things inside of your body. And now this is the time when you're going to notice a lot of that stuff is going to start paying off. Activity is going to start happening without you really having to try. So you just need to be ready for it. You need to be ready to be on the moving train. You need to start grounding down, start getting into your practice, because the things that you want, they're going to start presenting themselves to you, but it's still your job. It's still your job to open the door, take the things by the balls, take the things by the balls, take the whatever it is, the things that you want, your desires, what you're manifesting. It's still your job to be prepared to take that shit and put it on the train, pack it with you, and keep moving forward. So you're going to find yourself with a lot of new energy soon, a lot of sun energy. The tarot card for this time of year for Leo season is the sun. And this is another means of just not being prepared. My tarot cards are actually in my bag because I took them with me today, and I'm not going to run and get them. But the Sun Tarot, if you're familiar with tarot decks, if you want to Google it to see what it looks like, honestly, if you want to imagine it in your own brain, it would also be just as productive, is really a lot of energy of the physical sun up in the sky. So when we think of the sun as a star, as one of our stars that promotes healing, it promotes heat, it promotes activity. It's also more of like our paternal energy. It's also more of our activated worldly energy. We talk a lot about the moon, the new moon, the full moon, the waxing moon, all this moon energy, this mother energy, this nurturing energy. The sun is almost like our father energy, right? It is you have to think of like what, for me, it helps to think of like a traditional like white 50s household. What was expected in gender roles back then is sort of like how I see the sun. That's how I choose to see it, because I choose to see it as more of a masculine presenting energy in the universe. It is more of like holding it down, grounding energy, but gives you the grounding and activity, the fuel, the fire to move and get things done. Get things done in the outside world. So this is the time to, what I like to say is called analyzing your workflow. What has been working in your life? What's not working in your life? What do you need to get rid of and you're spending too much time and energy on that's not actually feeding you and not watering your garden? And what is a workflow that you realize has been like helping you move things along? And if you have no fucking idea, this is the time to look inward, start journaling, start really figuring out what's been working for you. Oh my God, Tara, I love that you're here because you should be teaching this. Anyway, sorry, I see Tara over here on Facebook giving me comments, and Tara's the most amazing astrology clairvoyant that I would say, that one of the most amazing that I know. So this is really the time in a lot of my classes recently where we have been doing a lot of aura cleansing, a lot of resetting, and a lot of like picking through what's been working for you, what hasn't been working for you, what you need to get rid of, and what you need to burn off so that you can use it as energy. So we are going to breathe together today, and we're actually going to do one part of a Kriya that I like to do. A Kriya is just a meditation that includes some sort of movement from the Kundalini lineage. And I like to take the technology of Kundalini meditation and manipulate it to do it how I like, because fuck Yogi Bhajan. And if you don't know who that is, then ignore that statement. And so we are going to be doing a little bit of cleansing your aura. And for those of you who are not familiar with this practice or with aura practices, or this is like a little woo-woo for you, I will just go ahead and explain that we all have energetic fields. We all have a space in which our energy has a reach. And this aura field and this energetic field can actually expand as we become more clear and powerful. And it can also contract when we need to be holding things into ourselves. And this aura holds a lot of our emotional shit. So things that you might have felt last week and you're like, yeah, I got through that. I talked to my partner about it and, I cried and whatever, and it's fine. It still might be like living out here to where, like the next time somebody makes you a little sad or upset, your emotional mentality just grabs onto that one thing and you start feeling all those same feelings again, like triggered back to that space, right? So we want to clear the aura. We want to maximize the space in which we can actually affect other people, because we know that if we're holding it down for us and we expand our aura, we can actually help hold it down for others. So find your comfortable space, find your comfortable seat. If you want to lay down, if you're not used to sitting upright and this is uncomfortable for you, lay down. Take that effort out of it for yourself. And really the goal here is to be sitting up straight, so we find the length within our spine and we create some spaces between the vertebrae of our spine. And so as we grow up really, really tall, I like to grow up through the heart space. So I engage a little bit of the belly. And when I say engage the belly, this is not the time for abs. We're not trying to suck in. We're not trying to engage so much that we start to compress in, right? Because if you activate the belly, you're going to notice that you curl in. That's not what we're doing here. We're actually activating the space between our navel and our pubic bone. Okay, so not up here, but between the navel and the pubic bone, we're activating just a tiny bit. You can't even tell the difference. You can't even tell the difference in my belly. You don't see any of my abdominals activating. You can't tell the difference, but I'm doing it right now. So we want to activate that little space, pull up through the heart space, almost like the heart has a little string pulling up towards the sun to pull you closer and closer and closer to that sky where we want to be, right? And then we keep the chin nice and neutral. So it's natural to want to open up the throat chakra and just grow up, which I will do. And then I'll close the chin again, come back to neutral, soften the shoulders. So the neck gets really, really long here. And you might not even see it. You just feel it. You feel the difference. And then I want you to sit here for a moment. As you're up tall, you're supported by the rib cage. And the rib cage is actually supporting from behind and under. So it helps to keep my heart up. And then I soften everything else. So I try a little less. Try a little less and soften. Close the eyes. And if it feels weird to close the eyes because it's really bright outside, you're in a bright space, you're really activated, just bring the gaze down. Keep the chin neutral, but bring the gaze down to the ground. And just let the eyelids get really heavy, and then eventually you might notice that you will seal off the eyes. The hands can be just relaxed on the thighs, on the legs. If you're feeling really, really tired, exhausted, like working through some big feelings, all of those things, if you feel like you need your energy, I want you to keep your palms down towards your own body. And if you feel like you have a lot of energy, you have enough to give away, you want to hold space, and you really want to tune into the space that you're in, tune into others, I want you to flip those palms up towards the sky and just relax the hands. And just breathe here for a moment, not taking instruction, not cueing through your body, not analyzing if you're doing something right or wrong, just sitting. You're here sitting and breathing as a human on the planet. And this moment is just as unique and just as standard as that. Tune into the breath and put a little bit of effort into expanding the breath, making it a little longer, making it a little bit robust. So as you inhale, you're filling up the belly. The belly's getting really soft and big. It's inflating. You're filling up all the space. And as you exhale slowly, you let it go in a controlled manner, little by little, until you activate that belly at the very end. Remind yourself of that fire here in the center. And then you inhale, you introduce the softness again. And on your own cadence, you exhale slowly and you let it go. And we start to notice that as we breathe, as we start to try, the tongue gets activated a little bit, maybe the face gets activated. Soften there. Try less. And without opening your eyes, I want you to trust yourself. I want you to trust yourself to do this in whatever way comes naturally to your body without worrying about doing anything right or wrong. Okay, so keep those eyes closed. And I want you to bring your hands to clasp in front of you. So thumbs are up, right? Thumbs are up towards the sky and the hands are clasped. The palms are facing each other. The elbows are down towards your rib cage. I want you to just bring that here and then extend the arms. So the clasped hands actually come out in front of you. Okay, thumbs are still up towards the sky. Unclasp the hands and keep the palms maybe 3 or 4 inches apart. Okay, breathe here for a moment. Keeping those arms extended, soften the shoulders, re-engage them back in the shoulder girdle, and keep breathing here. Inhale big, exhale slow. Just as simple as this. Give yourself the tiny bit of discomfort. You might feel it as like, oh, how long are my arms are going to be here? Let yourself live in this moment. This is where we live now, right? Just like rope. This is where we live. We breathe here. And we notice the energetic significance of having our arms out in this way if we feel it at all. And on the next natural inhale, you're going to just sweep those arms out to the side, however that looks for you. Don't worry about how it looks. Just do it wholeheartedly. And as you exhale, bring the hands right back to being 4 to 6 inches apart right in front of you. Inhale, sweep them out. Exhale, bring them back. However big or small this movement is for you, whatever it looks like, do it authentically to yourself. It's almost like those fingers are little filters working their way through your aura to clear out all that bullshit. Inhale, reach out, heart forward. Exhale, bring the palms back together. Inhale, reach out, arms wide. Exhale, bring them back together. At your own cadence, at your own pace. The arms might get tired, but keep up and keep going. This is where you start to learn the dedication to yourself. When you're doing it for other people, it's easy to push yourself through the moment. And the only way out is through. So can you keep going even if you feel tired? Can you keep going for yourself? On your next natural inhale, reach the arms up, up, up. Reach, reach, reach on your inhale. Hold it at the top of the breath. Exhale, sigh it out. And bring the hands down into your lap. Give yourself a moment here. Notice how it feels to be still after that. Notice if you have any sensation, any images going on the inside of your eyelids. Together, take a big inhale. Sigh it out with noise. Again, fill up. Let it go. And slowly blink open the eyes with any necessary movements, coming back to your space. Maybe giving yourself a neck roll, giving yourself a head roll. Allowing your eyes to absorb to the brightness of your space. And if you already practice divination of any kind, this is the time. Pick a card, pick a tarot card, do a draw for the Leo new moon. And if you are doing a spread, if you are familiar with tarot, try this simple 2-card spread. Simple 2-card spread. First card, what's working? Second card, what's not working? And then maybe take a moment to journal and give yourself some insight of what that means. Facebook is so weird. Every time I close my eyes, y'all all come on here and watch me. And then every time I open my eyes to come back, you all leave. And it's very interesting. So now that we are back into our space, I wanted to include some of that information before I go off on my rant. So this is where shit might get a little uncomfortable. We got through the agenda of the housekeeping of happy birthday, Lonnie. We got through the agenda of breathing, grounding together, and really activating our Leo energy for this new moon, right? This is the time. Start these new rituals, start these new routines. And now we are talking about the fact that you are beaming with creativity. You're beaming with activity. You're beaming in this time to really get all of this out. This is your activation time. This is the time to sink into all of that manifestation, sink into your joy, and enjoy the accomplishments of yourself and enjoy the accomplishments of others. So get clear. Clear out space by letting go of old wounds. That's something we're going to be doing till the end of this year. So this is not going to happen in the next week, okay? But just be clear that when things start to come up from your past, it's time to clear them away. It's not time to allow yourself to get reactivated, re-pissed off, and then project all of that madness on everybody in your life who's currently trying to deal with you. It's time to let it go. Clear out space for the new shit that you've already been calling in, because it's not coming because you have no space for it. So now as we get into this is not a classroom. Okay. I've had a couple of feedbacks from my lives, and some of the feedback from my live is like, oh, it just seems like you're like really mad and yelling at people a lot. And it also just seems like this is not an educational space, and you're not really offering a lot of compassion, and you're not really offering a lot of information. And I've also had my lives compared to some other people's lives that are doing things on the live spaces for rope. And one of the pieces of feedback that I got, which I chose to not take it as an insult, so that's my choice. I'm not sure if it was meant to be insulting, but was from somebody who had come to my classes in person before, at a con specifically, and had tuned into a live of mine and was like, ooh, this is very different. Like they basically were just like, this is very different. Like it seems like on your live, like I was expecting to get this educational space, and I thought it was going to be like me going to a class of yours in person, and I thought it was going to be like when I went to this con and went to your class. And so I felt like I needed to create a space where I just make it very clear to everyone that this is not a classroom. This is not a classroom, and in this space, I am not a teacher. Actually, in every space, I'm really not a teacher. I am really just a facilitator. I am a facilitator of spaces. What y'all decide to do with that space is up to you. And when I facilitate a space, I bring in offerings, and y'all can take it or leave it if you want. But my lives are not a classroom, okay? I'm not coming with notes. I'm not coming with class handouts. And one thing that I am for sure not coming with is the patience to walk people through thought processes that are brand new to them. I'm sorry, this is not that space. Not that space. If you would like to pay me for that space, I am totally willing to coach you through whatever racial inclusivity, diversity, or any kind of equity talks that you want to have. I have reviewed people's curriculum for them, both in the vanilla world and in the kink space. I mostly in the vanilla world, because in the kink space, y'all don't really know me for that. And that's fine, even though I am a Black woman and hello, 31 years. But the reality of the fact is I don't really like put myself out there like that in the kink space, and that's okay. But I do this work in life, and if you would like to work with me in that type of space, we can totally work that out. But please do not come to a free space that I offer, like my live, and expect me to be coddling and offering you references, to be offering you resources. I don't cite a lot of the things that I say on here. I do not quote a lot of studies of the things that I talk about on here. Most of this space is taken up by me and my anecdotal experience-based evidence, period. Now, a lot of that is backed by research, because that is who I am as a human being. I am an academic human. That is how I was raised. That's how I navigate the world. So yes, I usually question everything, research everything, find facts and backing for a lot of things, but I have lost the bone in my body in which I feel I need to prove to white people that I'm allowed to be here. Like, that is gone for me, okay? If you wanted to reach me in that space, you missed me by like 5 years, okay? That's gone. The 20s lost that for me. I no longer feel like I need to prove to people why I deserve to be speaking on a certain subject. Like, that is not what I'm doing anymore. There's a reason why I don't have a master's degree. There's a reason why all my continued education has been like rogue out here in these streets. So if you care to talk more with me about that, I'm so here for it and so open. But this is not a motherfucking classroom. Okay. I am not here to hold your hand. I am not here to give you links. I am not here to, be like, let me answer all your questions and talk to you about it in this gentle way and give you vocab and give you all, like, this is the wrong live. And there are plenty of amazing people offering things like that in this space that you all should totally look for and cite. But this is not a fucking classroom. This is me getting to take up space on my own platform and giving you my anecdotal evidence. And if that's not good enough, chunk the deuces. You have plenty of other spaces you can be in. And this is not coming from me just wanting to call all of y'all assholes all the time, or just wanting to like call people out. You have to understand the amount of emotional labor that you are asking for when you want that type of shit from Black people. Okay. You are asking for a lot, because already in the academic space, we are never taken seriously. Period. I spent decades doing that shit. Decades. Okay. And if you really want to know about my experience, like if you don't already know, and if you haven't heard me complain about it before, I spent decades in a strict academic, like most of the people that I went to high school with ended up going to Ivy League schools. Like, okay. So like I was very much not that person. I decided that at a very young age, but I spent most of my life in private college preparatory academic environments. I was reading college textbooks by the 7th grade. I was taking like PSAT by the 7th grade. Okay. Like, I get it. I get it that academia is important. I understand that citing resources is important. I understand MLA format and all that dumb patriarchal bullshit. Like, I get it. This is not coming from a place of me just being like, fuck that. It's not my realm. Like, I made a skill set out of code switching and perfecting that part of my personality because I thought it would make me worthy. I thought that by the time I got to 30, people would be like, "Ooh, you're smart. We'll listen to you." It doesn't matter. I could have as much education as I want. I still walk through and navigate spaces and have to navigate them with a nuance of people just never thinking that I'm good enough to speak on any subject ever because I'm a Black woman. And what have you been doing with your time and space? So I get asked more often than not, especially speaking on like racial terms, equity terms, and even like in the birth space of like, well, what experience do you have to justify you speaking on these things? And my first answer to all of that nowadays is 31 years as a Black fucking woman in America. Do you need more? Do you need more? Because that's my fucking experience. Dealing with this white caucasity and bullshit on the daily. That is my experience and why I should be talking about this. So I just don't feel the need to constantly be like, and hello, everybody, welcome to my space. And here are the spaces in which these are the things we're going to talk about. And if you have any questions, slide into my DMs. Like, I am not always going to be available like that. Sorry, not sorry. Like, And I think that a lot of y'all see some of the other people that I run these internet streets with, and you're like, oh, you just seem less approachable. I am less approachable. I am totally 100% less approachable. I am a nice person. I'm not going to randomly cuss you out when you slide into my DMs. But being approachable is actually like self-preservation for me at this time. If I got, what people I think also need to understand is that I have people, which if you're friends with me on Facebook, you know that I started out this morning on a rant about unfriending people on my Shakti Bliss Facebook page. Because I have, especially white cis men, but like anybody, everybody, and even a lot from like the liberal, white people, hipster, racists that think that they're helping. I get approached to expend tons of emotional labor on just arguing with people who just want to argue with me on a daily basis, like about things that have to do with like me being seen as human and Black people seen as human, and like trying to understand like ethics and understanding looting and understanding like, just various aspects of things that are going on in this country where people just want to fucking argue. Like nobody really wants to hear what I have to say or wants to hear my perspective or is like wanting to be presented with new information to adjust maybe how they're thinking or see something new. Very few people come to me with that type of mindset. It's really just like, I want to troll you and argue with you constantly and take up space in your space. And so I don't offer that type of shit anymore. Like I'm sorry. If I am being, if I am being employed in some way to facilitate a space, that will look very, very differently. And if you ever come to any of my classes where I'm like at a conference or, I'm hosting a class specifically, it might look incredibly different. Not might, but it probably will look incredibly different. I prepare myself energetically and spiritually to hold space for very difficult conversations and deal with people's naivety in those situations. But just expecting that I am just always in that space and hitting me up like I'm always in that space is not acceptable or appropriate. And when I want to go live and talk about my experiences, it's also not an acceptable and appropriate forum to take up space with all of your big ass feelings. So that's what I have to say about that. And so I just want people to be mindful about how they're taking up space and where they're taking up space and what they expect of me. I can't control where you want to take up space, and you can do whatever the fuck you want as a human being. But I will also just understand how you choose to respect or not respect me in how all of that is being navigated. So that is why this is not a classroom. This is an environment to be exposed to and to be exposed to a rebirthing process of rebirthing and reconstructing your own thoughts and your reality. This is also a space to hopefully allow yourself to be vulnerable to being uncomfortable, which is what I pride myself in doing is as a yoga teacher, as a breathwork teacher, as a meditation teacher, as a doula, as a sensual wellness coach, as all of these things. I pride myself on putting people through discomfort in order to lead them to the doorway of growth. Okay? Do you need to hear that again? I pride myself in making people uncomfortable so that they may hopefully be opened to a doorway or a pathway of their own growth. Okay. So that is what I hope to provide you with. I hope that you can find some semblance to either feel safe enough with me to where you can tell me you don't feel safe with me, or we can help build a space where you can feel safe within yourself. Absolutely. But especially when it comes to terms of consent, of race, of my perception, of my education, I don't fucking accept any questioning of who I am as a person. Full fucking stop. Okay. I have built my own self-esteem up in 31 years in an environment that is built to tear me down, and I will keep it high by any means necessary. And if that means unfriending you, blocking you, taking you out of my conversation, I don't care if you are telling me that I'm a coward or I'm running from things or running from conflict, that's fine. Chunk the deuces, you are not welcome here. I am not willing to compromise myself and how worthy I feel in an educational space that I have built up over this amount of time for you wanting to put in your opinion. I'm not doing it. So if you find this rude, I'm totally willing to hear those feelings. I'll read them when I want, but I'll totally willing to hear those feelings. If you're just I don't agree with this, fuck you. That's fine. But I just want everyone to be aware, this is not a classroom space. Classroom space is anybody's welcome. Anybody's welcome in a classroom space. Everyone has the right to learn. not a classroom space. Not everybody's welcome here. So I just want everyone to show up and come correct. And I just need to form a space to put that out there. I want to keep my peace, and I will keep my peace by any means necessary. So just throwing that out there. Let's see. So also coming into the space of slightly bringing up my dear human to me, Black Sin, or as some of you all might know them as Kinky Black Educator. I'm not diving into their full story because that is not my place and it's not my story to tell, and mind your fucking business if you don't already know. But something that I find was a very unique aspect of what was going on, and the fact that we lost an amazing educator in the last couple of weeks. Slowly but surely we lost them. But over the last couple of weeks, just sort of lost a really great asset to our community, is that something that people really need to understand about this consent conversation that we're not talking about on a wide forum, especially when it pertains to Black, masculine, or male presenting people in the world, or just Black people in general. I need some of y'all to understand that no matter what we do, it will never be enough. Like, full stop. Just want to give that a moment to breathe. No matter what we do as Black people, it will never be enough. Ever. There are still people that hate me from 2 years ago because they think I'm a victim blamer, y'all. There's still people that hate me from when I got my Instagram deleted because I had like a gaggle of like white women come after me and report all my shit. Like there's nothing that we can ever do. We can educate ourselves to the fullest, okay? We can be the perfect human. It will never be enough. So all of the white people out there who are like feeling like they're in this place of like, I don't know how to navigate this place of consent. I don't know how to navigate. I don't want to be a rigger. I'm scared. Everybody's going to see that I'm doing something wrong. I'm not really sure. I'm afraid to be wrong. I'm afraid to make a mistake, or else they're going to throw me off this pedestal and throw me away forever in a dumpster. Like all of those fears that we have about this community that we've built, Black people feel that to the umpteenth degree. So really out of self-preservation, we have to have this attitude of almost like, fuck the community, which is not productive for anybody. But at this point, it's like, are we supposed to constantly make ourselves vulnerable so y'all can just pick us apart? Like, what are we supposed to do? So you can pick us apart and then we're left with nothing. And then it's like, why? Because we wanted to help people. Not to mention, who's come out of the woodworks to help us? Who? I'll wait. So I just want to put it out there that I am someone who paid heavy attention with a lot of eyes to the way that consent violations in general over the last year have been handled, but especially with people that I know specifically and with people of color. I have tuned into that shit. And I have put my 2 cents in. There are people on this live who I know can probably attest to this. I have messaged some people and put my 2 cents in where it probably didn't even belong, but I felt like I needed to. And I think the fact that we lost an amazing presenter and we lost an amazing educator due to the fact that they took an accountability process that was that people refused to be a part of, and that they still continued to initiate for themselves, and it was still not enough. 6 months later, randomly, because someone got mad about something, don't ever ask why we ain't doing shit. Don't ever ask. Don't ever ask. Because this is why. Nothing will ever be enough. Ever. God forbid I ever fuck up. God forbid, and I've already fucked up, by the way. So God forbid I fuck up more. God forbid I ever fuck up again, because y'all will throw me away so goddamn quick, it won't even be funny. And I have to navigate this space remembering that. So every time you think you've created a safe space for kinky people or people of color in the kink space, just know I'm navigating every room like y'all are about to throw me away in 8 seconds. I do one thing y'all don't like. I'm out of here. So I navigate with a quickness, with softness, and with strategy in every space that I go into. That's just the way that it is. And so that's another reason why this is not a classroom, because frankly, being a facilitator or a teacher or an educator in any way takes a lot of emotional expense from me. And if I'm being 100% honest, there's a good 70% of y'all that don't deserve that energy from me. And that's just me forming boundaries to keep myself safe. So that's why this is not a classroom. So if you're looking for that type of coddling, and if you're upset that you see a different side of me than you might see when you're at a con in a class, maybe don't tune in my lives. If I am ruining the pedestal version of me that you had because you thought I was like a super zen, above it all, like elevated human, know that I am a human with human skin, heart, feelings, and emotions, and know me as such or don't know me at all. And sorry, not sorry. So I will keep my peace by any means necessary. I also just want to stress the fact that a lot of doing things online here is screaming into the void with people who are unwilling to answer. So as Black people, we are built into a system where we're constantly screaming at people who are dead intent and set on not listening to us. Dead intent and set on not listening to shit we have to say. And I refuse to scream into the void. So I don't care if I have 3 people in my lives. I don't care if no one watches them ever. I frankly do things because I want to do them. Okay. I do lives and I have classes and I do Zooms and I, do the things that I do and apply to conferences and teach where I teach because I'm drawn to do so. I don't do it because I'm waiting on a specific response from the community. Okay. So this type of inner resilience and power that I have as a Black woman, and that honestly I am forced to have, or else I would be perpetually disappointed and dealing with depression on a regular basis. Okay. Been there, done that. This inner resilience that I have as a Black woman is something I've been trying to teach. I've been trying to figure out a way to make it tangible so that I can teach it. This is why we meditate. This is why we breathe. This is why we have ritual. This is why we have divination. This is why I'm trying to take up this space so that I can teach this. And every time that I've tried to do it on a wide scale, I have literally been called a victim blamer because I tell people who are victims of sexual assault, who are victims of consent violations. I tell people who are victims of the economy, victims of a shitty boss, who are in that space, that in order to shift their lens view to survivor, it's not about the other person and whether the other person apologizes and what they're doing and how they're held accountable and whatever their bullshit is. And if they've, posted on the internet or if they put on FetLife, it's not about the other person. It's about learning how to find that resilience in you because we can't control the world acting crazy as fuck. I can't control the world being racist and burning crosses on people's front lawns and hanging Black people from trees. If I could fucking control that shit, I would live in a different place. So as a Black woman, I've had to find that resilience in here and nowhere else. I can't depend on spaces to be safe. I can't depend on you to defend me. I can't depend on anybody else. I depend on me. Me first. Okay? Me first. I put my own oxygen mask on and then I deal to see who else needs help with their fucking oxygen mask. So this is the cornerstone of everything I teach in the kink world, the vanilla world, the birth world. I don't care where you see me. This is what I teach: rebirth and inner resilience, period. And when I've brought that into the kink space, it's been met with, well, restorative justice is bullshit. And how do you believe that this person should be able to keep their platform? And it's always made about the abuser or about the person who has done harm. It's always been made about them. And I've been trying to make it about the other person, trying to make it about all the people who need healing, which is everybody in that situation. But I'm trying to make it about you. Okay. And Blackson also trying to make it about you. Trying to make it about what are we all doing for ourselves. And Blackson was crucified at the stake. And I won't forget that, because when I see that happen to people that look like me with this color skin and who aren't 90 pounds and Caucasian and super cute all the time, when I see that shit happen to people who look like me, I'm like, oh, that could be me. That could be me tomorrow. Same reason why I pull over in Austin when I see any cop pull over a Black person. I will literally pull over in the nearest parking lot and watch, just with my own 2 eyes, whip out my phone and start recording just in case. I will do that shit because I'm like, that could be me. Nothing is keeping that from becoming me. Nothing. And when I see y'all treat people like that treat people in the community like that, I'm like, oh, that could be me next week. That could be me next week. That could be me tomorrow. I am no better than any of these people. That could be me tomorrow. So my question is, how are we treating each other? Because y'all all seem to be fine with it when it's not you. You all seem to be fine with it when it's not you. And then when it's your partner or like someone you tie with or like someone you happen to be close to, then it's like we have feelings about it. We have big, big, big feelings. And then we want to like hide away and like not talk about it and, you know, go on a hiatus from Instagram and like not post for 3 weeks and then come back and like all this bullshit. And it's just like, how are we treating each other? How are we treating each other? How are we dealing with restorative justice? And whenever people bring up restorative justice, my first inclination, because I have an entire class in the vanilla word that is called internal justice. Like, how are we dealing with internal justice? How are you creating that justice within yourself first? Because as my lovely partner Sage likes to say, don't go out in the world and try to fix shit until your house is clean. Like, is your house in order? What's going on there? So this is the conversation for today. Is like, nothing that we ever do will be enough. That's why this isn't a classroom. Honestly, like, I'm not a pessimist, okay? Like, I'm not saying to hell with the rope world. Like, if I thought that, I wouldn't be here. So I am just willing. I love the rope world so much and the kink world so much that I am willing to hold you all accountable for the ways that I think that we're total and complete shit. So I'm going to continue to do that. That's what I would do with people that I love. That's what I do with people that I adore. And I think that we need to start looking at people, situations, rope relationships, kink relationships as not if you will violate my consent or if you will hurt my feelings or if you will hurt me in general. It's when, because we're all humans and we're all susceptible to that type of shit. So it's when. What happens when things go wrong? Let's talk about it. What happens when things go wrong? How many of you have had those discussions with your partners? Because that's one of the first discussions I like to have with people. What happens when things go? What do we do? When I'm mad at you, what do I do? Like, how do I bring that up to you in a way that's not going to initiate any type of offensiveness, but will initiate a conversation? What do I do? So I'm going to go back and scroll and read through these comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh my gosh, yes, I love that. Are you hurting or healing? Exactly. And most people don't really know the difference of the sensations of the two in their body. So the question is do you understand how different that feels within you? Yeah, no one wants to look at restorative justice. I agree. We're not doing restorative justice at all. We're either throwing people away or we're judging them. And like I say it almost every live, and I'll say it again. If we are judging everybody about when they make a mistake, look forward to each and every one of you getting thrown in the dumpster if you're willing to throw someone else in the dumpster, because you're all making mistakes. You're all making mistakes. You're all doing it. And what we're really doing by throwing people away is we're creating an environment where people don't want to bring forth when they've made mistakes, and they don't want people to know. And I think it's also true with people's partners, people's kink partners who make a mistake, people's rope partners who make a mistake. Then they get nervous because it's like, well, am I supposed to be mad about this? Like, am I supposed to be upset? Am I supposed to shun them on a public level so that people know that I'm upset about it? So, sorry, I just got a message to put in my Cash App, which I realized that I did not do on here. I did it only on Facebook. So that is my Cash App. Blackson will be doing a live tomorrow at 7 p.m. on their photography page to discuss all of this. Hope to see you there, because I know I will be there. And be mindful of how you take up space. Why are you there? Why are you going to go? Are you going to so that you can go and talk about it in DMs with other people? And if you are, please do that in a constructive way. Like, why? Like, just with intention, with intention. Someone asked me the other day, if I could narrow down, like, what I teach in the kink world, like, how would I do so? And I just say intention. Intention. What is your intention of being in that live? And what do you plan on doing with the information? So to top this off, I just want to also touch on one last thing that I think is relevant to all corners of what we've spoken about today. But I really want to end this because I'm making it a continuous conversation, because I think that people keep forgetting how it comes up. So something that someone brought to my attention was the terms of me being professional. Like, are you worried about being professional or not professional? And so before I even answer that question, I want to go ahead and just say professionalism is a fucking myth. Like, the entire idea of being professional is a fucking myth brought up by white people, colonization, and patriarchy. It caters to white culture directly. Professionalism caters to white culture. What does that mean? What does that mean? And that's what I started to do lately, kind of just to get my own aggression out in a nice way. But that's sort of what I started to do lately when people say things to me that I feel like are inherently racist and they don't understand. I'm always like, what is that? I just like play dumb. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand. Can you describe to me what does professional mean? What does it mean? Does it mean that I wear my hair back? Does it mean that it's combed? Does it mean that I took a shower? Does it mean that I speak in a certain way? And oh, if it means that I speak in a certain way, what way is that? What way should I be speaking? What way is that? What way is that? Does that mean I shouldn't be using any type of ebonics, slang, that I can't cuss? What does that mean? What does that mean? And it basically what people don't want to say and what they have a trouble putting the pieces together is it means you need to act white. It means you need to act white. Stand up like a white professor in this room and teach like a white person. We need you to act like us so we're comfortable. That's not going to happen in this space. So I need you to understand the different facets of my personality. And the fact that I have different facets of my personality, but the code switching intentionally to make people comfortable is not going to happen in this space. Professionalism is bullshit. And whenever you're asking someone that, I want you to be aware of what you're asking. Whenever you're favoring professional people, and I've had talks about this with people, even with Posh lately, about YouTube, is like when we're drawn to more professional YouTubes, it's like, what does that mean? Are we drawn to YouTubes with white people in it? Are we drawn to YouTubes with people who are speaking in a certain tone? Certain sentence structure? Are we like, what is it that we are drawn to? And why do we find that to be an easier space to interpret information? Because that's how school was, which we all now know school was just a training in 8-hour slavery so that we could be trained for capitalistic work. Like we all know that that's what that really was. So I want you to really start digesting if you want, if you're free and open to this space, start digesting and digging up where these beliefs and understandings come from. What does professionalism mean? What does that mean? And why is this live not considered professional based on what I said? White and straight and monogamous and cisgender. Yes, exactly, Kira. That's what professional means. Don't ruffle any feathers. Don't say anything that could be seen as, problematic for certain people. You know what I mean? Fuck if it's problematic for transgender people. Fuck if it's problematic for Black people. It's really just like, is it problematic to the general public, which is usually like white, cisgendered couples with children? Like, does it work? Anytime someone says that you need to be more professional, I'm just like, call a thing a thing. You want me to act white to make you feel comfortable? Exactly. So professionalism is a myth. And if you're comparing people's classes, if you're comparing people's lives, if you're comparing people's design choices on their Instagram, like if you're comparing any of that stuff, I want you to just ask yourself why. And this is kind of the nature of an artist. You know what I mean? This is why I'm grateful for going to art school, is that everything is subjective and everything had me question. And I am a naturally rebellious person where I question everything anyway. So I really, really loved that thought process. So thank you all for understanding about this, the fact that this is not a classroom. I hope to see you all later tonight. If you have any other questions, I want to be respectful in the honor of time. I probably only have about 4 to 5 minutes left here before live kicks me off. So I want to be respectful to all of your time. Thank you so much for the 30 of you that were in here throughout the hour on Instagram. Thank you so much for like the handful of like 10 people that kind of came in and out on Facebook. My Cash App is in the comments. I am grateful for any donations that you want to give to this space. I do also have Venmo if you would like to use it. I'm sure you all have seen my vanilla Instagram at this point, but my Venmo is Scout Wild Awake. If you are not familiar with my name and my vanilla brand, that is what it is. If you donate to Scout Wild Awake on Venmo, please do me a favor and write in the memo that it is a personal donation for me, because that is also how I receive donations for my nonprofit fund. So if you don't put anything in the note or it's ambiguous, I'm going to automatically put that money into my fund, which is great because it goes to help, Black, Indigenous people of color receive wellness care. So that's also not a bad thing. But if you let me know that it's for me, then I can use it to like buy myself some lunch or something. And that is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I really, really, really would love if all of you create intentional time to care for yourself this evening. And if you need some sort of suggestion of how to do that on the new moon, this is a great time to start evaluating. Evaluate what's working, evaluate what's not working, create a new to-do list for yourself, create a new structure for yourself, create a new routine for yourself, even if it's one thing, even if it's I'm going to wake up for the next week at 10 a.m., that's really late, but like, that's really late for me. But like 10, usually when I say like 6 or 7 a.m., people are like, ooh, I'm going to wake up at 10 a.m. and do morning pages, which is usually just like writing in the journal, a couple of pages, clear in thought. Like, even if it's just that, Just find something, and then don't be afraid to change it. Don't be afraid to reevaluate in a couple of days and realize, like, that didn't really work for me. Got to do something else. So enjoy this closing Lionsgate portal. Enjoy all of this Leo new moon energy. Enjoy the fact that this is not a motherfucking classroom. And if you have any leftover questions for me, they could be about anything. They can be about anything in my life, about me, whatever, what have you. I'm going to do my ritual this evening myself. Maybe I'll take some photos for you all if you're interested. But then I will be joining live tonight from my bed. After it's dark, and I will be answering some of those intimate questions for you. So I will see you all later tonight in a more intimate setting. Otherwise, enjoy your evening. Be kind to yourself. Peace, ashe, and so it is. Sat Nam, all of the things. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. Bye. Bye, Facebook.